Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. Guys, I have got a special treat for you today. I have not one, but two amazing guests. We're going to bring them on in just a minute. As always, you can find this in the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. You can also find them at the podcasting aggregators, places like Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And we really appreciate it if you just do that. We won't bother you, I promise. It's just right. It's down there. So maybe it's over there. I forget. Anyway, without further ado, let's bring in today's guests, two really special guests. They've been a part of our community for a long time. Karla and Konnie McCollum. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's such a treat to have both of you guys on. You guys have been members of the community for the Ordinary Marathoner community for a long, long time, ever since I can remember. We just recently had Stu Weiner on the podcast too, and he's very similar. He's been in the community for a long time, and I'm like, wow, I really missed out here on some great material with you guys. You guys have a great story, and I do want to get to it, but I really kind of want to start just in the beginning. I mean, twins.
Yes.
Starting in the real beginning.
Yes. Karla and I are identical twins. We are 57 years old. Oddly enough, we ended up marrying brothers. We each have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. Don't even ask me. Who knows how that worked out that way. And she has 8 grandchildren, and I have 6.5. So
I have no idea how do you get 0.5 grandchildren?
One on the way.
One on the way.
All right. Still cooking. Well, that's great. And you guys, so I think, what's unique about you, obviously you're twins, but you run together, and it seems like you run together all the time. You're like, as far as you're not conjoined twins, but as far as running is concerned, you might as well be.
Yeah, we so we've always run together. And I will tell you that we're highly competitive
with each other.
So that's probably how we've ended up, reaching our goal, because we're like, if it's on, it's on. And it doesn't matter how much she wants it if I want it more. So, but we, over the decades, we've always run together, worked out together. And, we support each other too. So like, if she does beat me occasionally, we're good with it. We celebrate, and it's fun. Yeah.
So, but when you guys train together all the time, and we were just talking a little bit before the show. How far apart do you guys live?
About what? And I think it's 1.68 or 1.6, and, somewhere around there. Whenever I have to do the 2 miles, I have to run around a loop really fast back to her house. So.
But you guys run together all the time. Do you do all of your training runs together, or it's almost like I feel like every single one is together?
Not everyone. Our work schedules are different, so every weekend we do together. During the week we try to meet up, but sometimes we can't. As often as we can during the week. It seems like we're always together, but we run 4 days during the week. We try to hit, 2 or 3 of those days, but like she's traveling this week, so I have to run by myself. But for the most part, weekends, long runs, we always do together.
So now, it will get kind of more towards the heart of the story was, I think one of the things that we all really came together to celebrate for you guys a few years ago was that you both qualified for the Boston Marathon and you ran together.
Yes.
Now, was that the first time you ever qualified, or no, you've qualified before?
No. We have qualified, I think, 5 times. So last year, and we've always qualified together. And I'll tell you why we started running marathons together. When we first started running marathons, we were like each woman for herself, and get down to the nitty gritty. But on marathon number 2, I had a heart attack running the marathon. I finished. I even PR'd. But after that, I know, crazy. But after that, Karla and I decided never again will we run separately. We will ride step for step. We finish together. Smaller races, it's each girl for herself, but on a marathon. So we've qualified together because it's both of our dream. We've had this dream since we were 13 years old. And we certainly weren't going to go without each other. So we decided it's together or nothing. And when one of us lacked motivation or decided to give it up, the other one would be like, no. Oh, we've had ferocious fights.
Oh, if people would hear us, anyone running near us the last 6 miles of a marathon will be like, oh.
That's great. That is great. So first of all, let's go back because we can't skip over this little nugget here.
Yeah.
You had a heart attack during the marathon and still finished?
Well,
now, Karla, I hope you beat her that time at least.
No, I didn't. And here's the thing. I wasn't trying to. So we were running together and it was a really, really hot day. Mm-hmm. And now that I know the symptoms of her blood pressure and whatnot, I would never have let her finish. So we're running and we get to around mile 19 and we weren't trying to BQ that race. We were just running it. And I said, okay, I've got to stop in here and go to the bathroom. And there was a band playing and everything. And I said, let's get some water and go to the bathroom. And she's like, no. And she's getting really, really aggressive. And she starts running faster and faster and faster. So we got in one of our usual fights, screaming at each other. And I yelled, just go on with yourself, So I stopped to get water, listen to the band, and go to the bathroom. And she charged ahead. And I figured, she'd have to stop eventually later. So I just took my time, enjoyed the course. When I got to the finish line, she was sitting on the side of the road, oddly. And I thought, wonder why she's not screaming at me, to get my butt moving. Because usually that's what she would have been doing. So she was just sitting there and she looked terrible. So I crossed the finish line and I'm snapping pictures, thinking, I just ran another marathon. And she comes stumbling up to me and she says, I think I'm going to go to the medical tent. I don't feel well. And I said, okay, I'm going to run over here and get my daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law was there watching. I'll meet you over there. So she went on to the medical tent and I went over to the side of the road. And a few minutes later, she calls me and she says, you are not going to believe this. They're taking me to the hospital. They said I had a heart attack. And I was like, what? What? Are you kidding me? I had a heart attack trying to get to the medical tent.
Honestly, I now recognize the symptoms and I would never do that again. But I had a heart attack and ended up in the hospital. And so I have a heart blockage. And I work with doctors. They're very cool about my attempts to run and fully supportive, but I get regular checkups. I do take meds. And so now that we know.
I feel like you almost wear this as like a badge of honor here. Like, I ran a marathon, I had a heart attack, I still finished.
Well, it was kind of stupid of me. Had I known I was having a heart attack, obviously I would have stopped. But it didn't occur to me until I couldn't breathe and couldn't see that something's wrong.
So then how did you find her, Karla?
So she was sitting, she had just crossed the finish line and kind of plopped down. And I ran to that medical tent, and I was shaking so hard, and my daughter-in-law kept saying, calm down before you have one, calm down. And I got in there, and I literally had to sit down. She was hooked to all these things. And she looked at the medical staff and she said, is this for real? Because we've rented a really nice hotel room and we were going to celebrate. We were out of town. So
Right.
So they took her to the hospital and they told me where she was going to be. And they actually literally stopped the race to let her ambulance through and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to go find the hospital where she was at. But thank God my daughter-in-law was there in her car. And she drove because her husband was at drill that weekend. My son is in the National Guard. So she was up there. We were in Indy. And she drove me to the hospital, and I was expecting Konnie to be sitting there like, oops, false alarm. But when I got there, it was even worse than we realized. And they were like, they're calling out all these numbers, all these stats, this and that. It was a very rough night for both of us because I had to go back to the hotel room. They wouldn't let me stay. I was so afraid. I was in that hotel room by myself. I was too afraid to even get in the shower because I kept thinking, oh, we're twins. What if I have a heart attack? In the meantime, Connie's texting me saying, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Yeah. I have to have heart surgery, And so she had to have a heart cath. I went up to the hospital the next morning, and her cardiologist had her medal on and was dancing around the hospital room. And he was like, we've never had a patient like this before. And she had the heart attack at mile 24. So she had, that's as best as we could figure, somewhere around mile 24.
Right. So you guys had already separated by that point.
Oh, yeah. We were in a blistering row. Obviously, obviously, when I'm having a heart condition, I get
really aggressive, and I have to say, no, we're stopping. So and honestly, we've had to do that before, like in the heat. We ran the marathon from heck last year. That's what we call it. It was so hot. Our virtual Boston Marathon.
Oh, right. Yes.
It was awful. It was awful.
We ended that marathon, our virtual Boston. I mean, it took us a long time. We've had this dream for 44 years.
Yeah.
And we ended that terrible marathon tripping each other.
I fell at the finish line. I fell flat on my back, and my water bottle, I was wearing a water bottle because it was during COVID and they didn't have, water stations and stuff. And it kept me from busting my head. And we were laughing so hard. She was yelling at me, get up. People are watching. Get up.
Yeah.
You just ran a marathon, though.
Oh, yeah. It was bad,
fun.
But let me ask you this though. So how many marathons in total? Do you have any idea? Have you guys run together?
I think we've run about 14 full marathons, and what have we run? More than 50 halves.
Yeah.
We don't even know how many halves we've run.
Right.
Yeah.
We like to run.
Yeah.
And we have, so in the last 8 years in our quest, we really got serious about qualifying for Boston when we hit our 50th birthday. So before our 50th. And we were going to run and try to do it when we were 50. And we've run more than 15,000 miles through every imaginable weather, you name it. We don't like to treadmill it. So we've been out there freezing,
burning, sopping wet.
But you guys, you have this dream to qualify for Boston. And then you said you did it how many times? 5 times you actually qualified?
Yeah.
But this last time was the only time that you actually were going to go
Right.
Right now, were you like offered the invite? I know sometimes you can actually qualify, but then you don't really qualify because there's a
Right.
certain cutoff. Was this the first time that you were offered the invite, or was
Right.
it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We
Right.
missed the cut.
So we qualified, and then, like you said, we missed the cutoff.
Right.
So last year, 2020, we got it. We were invited, and I think it was 5 weeks before the actual Boston, they delayed it.
Yeah.
And that was tough enough, shocking COVID. And then they
moved it to September. Yeah.
And then they made it virtual, which I'm very honored and proud to have run Boston virtually. But then this year we got the invite to actually go run it in person. So in 2 weeks from today, we will be on a flight probably around this time.
No, we'll be there. We'll be there. This is Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. You guys. Yeah, you guys will be done.
Yeah. It's on a Monday. So we will
be at
the expo right about now. We're running. Our start time is going to be later in the morning. So when we were originally training for Boston last year, we were going to go kill it. We were training to just kill it. And then we had to stop training right at the end, take a break, and train again. And so this year, when we found out we were going, we're like, no, we're just gonna run it. We're not gonna train to kill it, because that way, if it gets canceled again or anything happens, we're not gonna be like, it was devastating last year.
And I'll tell you. Yeah. So right after the Boston virtual last year, I got COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
And
before we get here, because I do want to get here. I do want to get here. But so you guys you guys do all this training. It's your dream to qualify for Boston. You qualify 5 times, finally get an invitation. Now this isn't like it's not your local race. This is a flying all weekend, this is a deal for you guys. On top of that, they kind of selected you out of the crowd to do like a whole expose about the twins, the grandparents twins that are running together. They made a really big deal about you guys coming to Boston to do this race there. And I mean, so, all right, you got the delay and then you hit September. And what I wanted to kind of ask you was, you mentioned that you did the virtual and you're very proud of the virtual. And I think rightfully so, because you guys, sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, I ran it virtually," and everyone kind of says, "Oh, really?" But you guys kind of you really earned it. You really you weathered all of that storm of the COVID cancellation, the delay, and then the delay, and then the cancellation, and then you went out and you did it virtually. And how did you channel that energy and effort to kind of say, "All right, we are going to treat this as a legit Boston effort," which I think you guys did wonderfully, because I think it's inspirational. Honestly,
it was very hard mentally. Mm-hmm. We both got to that starting line. We had got invited to a very, very small local marathon for Boston qualifiers to do our virtuals, and we got to that starting line and everybody was kind of down, It wasn't the excitement. It was hard. It was very hard. And we're like, we're just going to do this. We're just going to do this. And it didn't help the temperature, the humidity. It
was just a rough run. And then we tripped ourselves. That was the epitome, kind of summed up the whole experience. It was right in front of the finish line. But what's kind of neat is that we were chosen as honorary Boston Marathon team members. There were 24 of us from across the world, and Karla and I were chosen. Some of the things, a little known fact is, not only am I a heart patient, a heart survivor, But Karla is a cancer survivor. She had 2 battles with ovarian cancer, which was very, very ugly when we were younger. And despite all of that, despite some hardships, we moved forward, and we kept our dream, and we had to put it away for years, but, life gets in your way, kids, the whole works. But we did it. And when we ran the Boston Marathon last year virtually, it was a little bit different than other virtual marathons. We had to log in, do these things to prove you actually ran and all this and that. And then we got our medals. And
well earned. People talk about like earning your unicorn. I hear that phrase. But you guys certainly did it, and an inspiring story beyond that. So now we can kind of get back into it, because I just remember watching you guys do the virtual and thinking to myself, man, I really hope that you guys get another chance to go to Boston and run it, because I thought it's just a travesty because of exactly what you're saying. Your stories are inspirational. And it would just be sad if we lost such an inspirational moment for you guys. And you guys have always been like just generous people and kind people in our group. So I just wanted I wanted that for you guys really badly. And then I remember, hearing from Karla that you came down with COVID, and then it wasn't like, 90% of these COVID cases are like just, a little bit of cold and then you kind of get over it. But then there's a certain percentage that are severe, and you got one. So why don't you kind of give us the skinny from there?
So on November 5th of 2020, I tested positive for COVID. Of course, by then I full well knew I had something I'd never had before. I developed pneumonia, and I thought for after about 3-4 weeks, I was very, very sick. I thought for a brief while I was getting better, but then I developed a secondary like heart situation. My blood pressure was out of control, just all kinds of health issues. And literally I struggled and struggled. I could not walk. I'm one of those people, I could not walk down a flight of steps from my bed to answer my door. I got hit hard. And I thought my running days are over. My life, I actually thought I was going to die. I'll be honest. And so I struggled for months and months and months. I ended up in the hospital getting a heart cath. My blood pressure was again out of control. And then, not being political, I got the vaccine, and it changed much of that for me. So in June, I got the vaccine. Many of my symptoms lessened, and I was able to start running again. I never imagined, that I would be able to. Back in May and April, I could barely run, and now in 2 weeks, I'm going to run the Boston Marathon.
That's great. And I tell you, I remember having a conversation with Karla.
Yeah.
When this was going on, and she was very concerned for you overall, which kind of made me nervous too for you.
Yeah.
But it didn't sound like you would ever be able to run again. It didn't sound, and you're talking about that. That's exactly what she said to me, that you couldn't walk up and down the stairs. And for you to be back, how much do you think, you mentioned the vaccine, but how much also do you think that being in such good shape and running and all of the exercise you've done over the years and just being, even now you go from not being able to walk down the stairs, now you're running Boston. How much of your recovery do you attribute to just that?
I would say about 95%. No, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Here's what, and maybe this is what worked for me. I was so ill, and the exhaustion, I cannot describe the utter weird fatigue that comes with COVID, but I knew that I had to fight. I had to fight. And I put together goals and plans, just like I would in training. And so I treated my COVID recovery as training. And number one, I flooded myself with vitamins, and so made sure I got enough quality rest, and just really treated this as a goal. And I am a very strong person. I mean, I'm the knucklehead that ran the marathon having a heart attack, but I'm tough. And I think that's where it came in. And then when we realized, well, at first we were thinking, rats, we run around the Boston Marathon. And so my goal was, truthfully, I got to recover so I can try this again. I don't know when I'm going to try it again, but I'm going to try it again. Little did I know at the time, great things were about to happen, and we were about to get the opportunity to go. And then once we realized we were going, it's like, I got to do this. I am a little worried, but we don't have any goals other than to toe the line and run across the finish line.
Enjoy the day.
Yeah. We have no time goals.
I don't know. I'll be honest, training is hard. I don't have the energy that I did. And maybe it's because I'm a year older. I don't know. But
I feel you with that too. Every year seems harder and harder. It seems it's harder and harder to make gains, and then even worse is trying to hold on to them when you start losing them. But Karla, for you, what does this race mean to you? I mean, obviously we hear all of Konnie's sort of battles with COVID and all this stuff, but then you having sort of seen all this, and I know all the, all of the concern that you had for her. I mean, how do you see your sister in terms of coming back from this race? Does she inspire you in a way, or how do you picture this race?
Yes, I guess I never really thought about that. So I watched her go from running the marathon to not being able to walk up her stairs. Round about December, we have a coach. And she says she's just going to start pushing through. So I bought a stationary bike. I think I talked to you about my stationary bike. I bought a stationary bike for my house. So we kept our schedule. So we get up at about 4 or 4:30 in the morning. She would be at my house at 5:15 for coffee and exercise. So she would get on the bike and watch the news while I either went running or did my exercise. And, she kind of just kept me going. And I just monitored her so she didn't overdo it. She lost a tremendous amount of weight, just a tremendous amount of weight. You just wouldn't believe how thin she is in real person.
I'm working on it.
But I wouldn't let her run or exercise until she had her cardiologist approval. I was with her in the hospital after her heart cath when her cardiologist told me her heart is very healthy and strong. She can start training again. Wow. So she started, working. She went from the bike to just a few miles here and there. Lot of walking. And by mid-May, she was up to, what were you up to? Maybe 4 or 5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And
it exhausted me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, trying to decide what I was going to do about my running career. We didn't know if hers was over or not. We had decided that I would just go on by myself. And, if I got to Boston, I would run it by myself, which I didn't want to, but I would do it for us. And she would go with me just to be there.
Yeah.
So I went on with my training, and slowly but surely she was able to start running more. And, thanks be to God, she just strengthened herself. And by July, we were running, I think she was up to 15, 16 miles at a time.
Yeah.
And
I remember seeing you post some of those and thinking, wow, like this woman, I didn't know if she was going to make it a few months ago. And I thought she was done with running, and now here she is.
After the first couple were very difficult. But we did have a goal that Karla was going to go on, finish for us, and I would be her support team. And that's how it was going to be. And I'd pick something else, very practical. When life hits you in the knees, you just kind of recover and
do something else.
And now we kind of fast forward here a little bit. And I mean, you guys didn't think that you were going to be doing this race this year. What happened? Like, did you both get a call?
Yes.
How did this work? And this was recent. This was like,
yes, we didn't make the original cut, which I think like 9,000 or 10,000 people didn't make it this year because they shrank the field size.
Yeah.
So we didn't make the original cut, and it was so I was training for a different marathon, and Konnie was either going to run the half marathon or join me. But, pretty much we were, trying to decide if she could compete a half marathon. And I was going to try and qualify again, for us. It was really a battle with both of us of what to do, move on. Is the writing on the wall? Is it time to do something else? Because when I had cancer, we had to do something else. We didn't have a choice. I wasn't able to run. So we walked for hours and hours and hours.
And everything else.
Yeah.
But we I guess it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay. I got COVID August 3rd. I found out I was COVID positive August 3rd, and I thought, oh my gosh, the bus is wrecked. So I was trying to decide what to do about that. I actually didn't miss any training runs. I should have, but I'm hard-headed and stubborn, just like the girl who had a heart attack. I kept running even though I had COVID. And on August 26th, we got an email from the BAA that said some things had happened, some spots had opened up. Would we like to run since we were qualifiers? And we're like, yes!
Yes! That's exactly what happened. And we're like,
I called Konnie because she was traveling, and the email was made out to both of us. So she was on the road, and I was screaming into the phone, we're in! And she's like, what? We're in what? And I said, we just got invited back in. We made it. We're in. And, so we registered. We were accepted. We didn't ask questions. We don't know what happened or why, but we believe it was God, and
we're going to Boston.
Right. So
you guys are.
So we don't have to requalify.
Yeah.
I love this story so much. I really do. And just knowing you guys from the group, it couldn't have happened to two nicer people.
Thank you.
Just incredible.
We actually had 2 marathons this fall that we had signed up for because we were dead serious about getting another qualification. And as soon as our entrances were accepted, we're like, okay, we can slow down. We're never
we're going to join the next one.
We're going to let marathons go for a while, maybe permanently, and just race half marathons for a while, because Konnie does have heart disease. She has coronary artery disease, and we don't want to be dumb. It's not worth her life. So
marathons are
our goal.
Huge commitment, and silly to risk. Yeah, at a certain point, you gotta weigh the positives and negatives.
Exactly.
There, but this one is, this one seems like it's been sort of your goal for a long time.
Long time.
When we first heard of the Boston Marathon, we wanted to run it, but our parents were not supporters of women being in athletics, and they were not encouraging. And when we snuck to run track
and cross country,
we had a measure of talent, I suppose, and our coaches approached our parents, and we were allowed to run. But so we had this dream and put it away, and life presented an opportunity where we went for it. And
yeah, well, I tell you, you guys, my wife and I were going to come out and watch you guys last year when you did it. We knew a bunch of people running. And then this year we hadn't planned on it, but I think now we're going to have to come out and see you guys, and I'll have to make sure I let you know where we're going to stand so that you can keep an eye out for us when you go by. I'll wear my team.
Yeah. And have some candy.
Yeah. Did you guys want
orange slices?
All right. Yes. There you go. That's not legal. No, it is fine.
No, candy orange slices. Candy.
Whatever you guys want. We'll have whatever you want. I think so. I used to live right around mile 20. I think it was maybe a mile after this place called Cleveland Circle, about a mile after Heartbreak Hill. And so we'll probably try to find a spot over there and stand and watch you guys go through. We'll have the 2-year-old with us. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
We can tap her sign or her hand for energy.
Yes. Can I tell you something? Oh, I got a really bad story about signs like that. It's really bad. I don't even think I could tell it on the podcast, but I think I actually did once. And if anyone's a fan of the podcast, they'll know what I'm talking about. But don't touch those signs.
No.
Good to know.
Don't touch those signs.
I always feel sorry for the little kids and go out of my way to.
I'll tell you the story after the podcast. I can't do it. People are going to get mad at me because I'm burying the story now, but it was gross. Anyway, so all right, so now you guys are ready to go. You got your tickets, you got your hotels, I'm assuming, and it's just kind of like wait and see. I mean, have you done do you guys when you think about race day, how do you visualize do you even think ahead to or are you just going to kind of take it as it comes? Yeah. I almost feel like Konnie's saying yes and then Karla's saying no.
We have a plan. Listen, this is all we ever talk about.
I know.
For the last, when we're running our long runs, we try to pick out songs that have the word Boston in them. I mean, we are ready.
Please come to Boston.
Yeah. And so we have plans, but we are also very, after many, many, many thousands of miles of running, weather conditions will be a big factor. Yeah. And so we have plans, contingency plans, and extra plans, and then
good.
F, which is finish.
Yeah. So we have all the way, A to F.
and we try to simulate sometimes the Boston course we run down here 4 miles, and we have one of our training grounds. Our favorite is a state park with massive, very hilly. If you have ever run the Cincinnati Flying Pig,
I know that you guys run it.
Yeah,
we have run it, and if you read about it, it's very hilly. We train in those hills. We're just a few miles from Cincinnati, so we're trying to practice Heartbreak Hill. We're very nervous about it.
Yeah,
but hopefully
they make it sound like it's a mountain.
And
we're like, how big is it?
I think with your background and your experience, I think I used to drive up that hill and not even know it was a hill before I was a runner.
Good. Yeah.
But that's when when you're not a runner, you kind of don't really look for those things.
Yeah.
But I think the thing about it is just, it's so far at the end of the race, and, you don't really hit a lot of hills in the first, 20 miles. And then all of a sudden you got this one, and it's a tough one because you haven't really dealt with it. And it's towards the end, and it's just a struggle for most people that hit it. But, with your backgrounds and your training, I think you guys are going to be fine.
And
my
if
hope
we're
is that
not,
you just
we'll
kind of
just
laugh
walk
at it.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
We will love, last week we did our last 20 miler, and we deliberately hit the very long, hard hills of the park to simulate,
yes,
so that we were running on tired legs, because when we get there, if weather conditions are right, we're going to run it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to do our best.
That's the experience.
Whatever happens, but our coach, he's very good about, whatever the day brings. And if you do your best, that's all you can ask for.
Right.
And be happy.
You never know in Boston with the weather.
Right.
You just never, and when it's in March or April, I don't even know when it's April.
Like, usually in April.
First week in April, usually. I actually living in Boston, and I used to get up and in the mornings and the race would be going through. And this was, again, before I was a runner. I remember sometimes the driving rain, thinking to myself, there's no way they can have a race today. And they do it.
Yes.
And they do it. And then, by the end of the race, it's hot.
We train in it. Yeah. Yesterday, the 13 miles where I jumped into a 5K, it was pouring down rain, driving rain, and it was 50 degrees outside. So,
well, we qualified for Boston in absolutely torrential rain, and then the dropping temperatures, wind, and snow at the end.
Yeah.
So I would prefer if it was a freak snowstorm in 2 weeks, it would be wonderful, cloudy, pray for clouds.
You guys deserve a good day. You really deserve a good day after all you've been through. But crossing this finish line, I don't know if I want to jinx it, but you think there's going to be tears? What do you guys think? You think it's like such a culmination of so much work and energy and so many ups and downs? Have you guys thought about that yet?
Big smiles, big smiles, and I think that right now, and I'm pretty sure Karla is doing this. We're on tenterhooks. We're with bated breath. We just want to get there. After we've come so close for so many years, and it keeps being snatched back. I don't think we're really thinking about anything but let's get it started.
I'm afraid to check my email. Every time I get an email from the BAA, I'm like, no. And I got to open it with one eye. It's like,
Marine Corps just got canceled, and they know that they moved Ironman World Championships from Hawaii to Utah, and I think that had something to do with the restrictions.
Oh yeah,
and you make the connections with Massachusetts and being sort of a blue state where it seems to be more restrictive, and it kind of it makes you a little nervous. But I am hearing that they're being very communicative with the runners, and that they're really seeing positive, it's a pretty positive vibe that it's gonna. So I'm hoping for the best.
Well, they have COVID measures in place. You have to either be fully vaccinated, or before you can get in and get your bib, you have to get a test there in the medical tent. You have to get a COVID test, and they give you a bracelet. They're going to give you a bracelet that you have to have in order to get to the starting line, to get on the buses, so you have to be vaccinated or be COVID negative.
They have their special mask too, right?
Yeah, you have to wear a mask. They're trying to be very, I think, cautious, without being political about it.
I don't care. I don't care if I have to wear a paper bag.
Right. Exactly. Right. Poke 2 holes and,
But they're not making you wear it during the race. Like, you have to kind of wear it to the start. And then I think you can drop it off, and then they give you another one at the end.
Yeah, or something like that. All
they're doing their best.
is
Right,
getting
right.
there. I just want to get there, and I just want to cross the finish line, get my medal. I don't care. And 26.2 miles is a long race.
Yes, it is.
Anything can happen. You plan for everything. You hope for the best. You prepare and you train, and then you trust your training, which we have a fabulous coach, Blake Landry from Landry Endurance, and he's in Boston. So,
oh, wow. So you guys will get to see him.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
That's awesome, guys. I'm so happy for you. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see you guys cross the finish line. It's going to be a wonderful moment. It's going to be wonderful.
We are the very last people to cross where we don't care. We're just like, whatever we have to do, if she has to drag me and I have to drag her, it doesn't matter. We're getting across that finish line.
Oh yeah. We'll finish right before the street sweepers, so it doesn't matter.
I'll ride the street sweeper if I have to.
I'm sure you guys are going to beat the street sweepers. I'm sure you guys are going to do just fine. You guys don't show up that unprepared. You guys will be great. I'm super excited to watch you guys finish or just run the whole thing. And I hope I get a chance to be there and just say hello and watch you guys in action. And man, what a great story, though. I thank you both for coming on the show. This has been amazing. You guys, any more sort of like last words for us, or
pray for rain or cold weather?
and I want to tell people, Karla and I are just normal, regular people. We had a goal. We had a dream. We turned that dream into a goal. Then we turned it into an action plan. And we didn't give up when things got in our way. When life gets in your way, consistency is the key.
Yeah, I see in our group all the time, people say, oh, I don't have motivation. I can't get out the door. Set a goal. Just set a goal, a small goal, any goal. Setting goals is motivating. When the tiniest little goal is motivating, I'm going to run 3 miles this week, come heck or high water, and you do it. And then next week, I'm going to run 5 miles next week, just something, any kind of goal.
And just stay consistent. Even if you don't want to get up out of bed and go running, get up and go walking.
Yeah.
Find a running club, find a running partner, get a dog. Not everybody is blessed with the twin sister. So I realized I had a slight advantage.
Well, I was going to say, you guys have that, that it's like that group dynamic where I'm sure that there's been mornings where one of you didn't want to run.
Oh, yeah.
And probably days that you both didn't want to go. And just the fact that you had to show up for each other.
Yes.
You do it.
I have blown her phone up more mornings, and I'm like, where are you? You're supposed to be here at 5:20. Where are you?
Yeah.
Get your butt over here.
It absolutely gets hard. And when you're exhausted, you've worked all day, you have your kids, grandkids. But again, if you set a goal and you just chip at it a little at it, you're going to get there. Don't give up. Do not give up is what I want to tell people. Don't give up.
And I think that's a great message. And I think that message is, one that we hear often, and it's just a really good group that we all kind of can sort of back each other and push each other. And a lot of folks like you guys have been in the group for a long time, and just, we all go through periods of time where they come easy, and then sometimes they don't. And you need a little bit of a boost or a little bit of a kick in the butt. And I think that's, that's a really good message for everybody.
Yeah.
So thank you guys again so much for your time.
Thank you.
I know I said I'd keep you about a half an hour, but we went a little bit longer. I felt like, we had a really good.
Oh, we will talk your head off if you don't stop.
But I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for all that you've done in the group and all that you've contributed, all the stories, all the runs, all the posts. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Karla and Konnie McCollum. I thank them for both coming on the show and being a part of the group. It's been It's been amazing watching you guys run. It's been amazing watching you guys accomplish things. And man, I think, I'm sure I'm not as anxious as you to get to the race, but I'm really excited to watch you guys participate and go get this one. I'm thrilled for you. So on that note, we're gonna sign off for the day. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get
That's
after it,
right.
guys.